G'day everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been a little while since I posted a video like this, but I'm going to do a bit of a recap on the first 2 weeks of the Chasing Pink series. So the Chasing Tour is a 90-day season-long tour on Zwift where you accumulate season points to go into the running for some prizes and that kind of thing, but it's a really cool thing that follows the pro schedule of racing. So this 3 weeks, given that it's the Giro in real life, it's called Chasing Pink, and so some of us have been jumping on the trainer day in, day out and racing some pretty grueling stages. So I'm going to take you through a bit of a recap of how it's going, some of the thoughts on each stage and how we're feeling leading into the final week. But here are some of the standings so far. So this is not quite accurate given we've just completed a stage. However, the top of the list is fairly close to. It's a time gap GC, so basically you need to stay as close to the winner in all of your races as possible. I'll get on to some issues with that, with some cheats and stuff that we've had jumping into one-off races and things like that. But as you can see, through 12 stages, my time gap is about 3 seconds. So that's unreal overall to have only lost 3 seconds to the winners across 12 different stages of racing. And a lot of it's thanks to the help from teammates and that kind of thing. As you can see, Wills, he's in second, only 26 seconds back. And our main rival, Brett Boniface, still very much a threat, just back there within a minute with 6 stages still to go. So it's going to be an interesting last week. Lots of climbing to go, a time trial, but hopefully we can stay strong and get the lead home to the finish line. So just a bit of a route description. So you can see here the first week is down this side. We started with some flat ones, and we went into a mountain finish on stage 4, a couple of flat ones, but now they're pretty much all hilly. Really forward to stage 14, getting some flat, to be honest, and then hopefully stage 18 we can celebrate with the pink jersey on. But I'll take you through some of the racing and some of my thoughts on each race. So the first one was a pretty flat one overall in New York, up on the blue roads. I'll take you through the finish here. Because everyone, it was first race, had to try and cover moves so you didn't let anything get away. I'll probably kick a little bit too early up the ramp here, but guys in GC behind, we've had a pretty hard climb already, so putting a little bit of time in. Listen and Yamazaki rank 1 and 2 in the world at the moment, and we almost matched them there. We get to the finish line, and that's a job well done. Stayed within 0.1 of a second, and then that's a really good start, and I felt like, to be within 0.1, we're not in the pink jersey, but no time lost. We then moved on to stage 2, which was a Makuri Islands one, up to gravel KOM there. The kind of selection sorted itself out, and we had a little bit of a bunch kick finish, which was a pretty basic one. We had some teammates here controlling moves, because when everything's at 0 seconds, obviously, you're a bit more worried about losing a second or two. So Wilson opened up his sprint, and he told me when he was doing so, which gave me a pretty good timing here in the kick. Not as good sprinter as Otstot and Listen, and as you see, they roll away for the 1-2, but pretty happy with those numbers to come in third. Once again, we lost 0.1, no dramas. We then moved on to stage 3. This was a really unexpected one with the desert finish, which usually goes one way. A lot of the world's best riders were riding this one, the likes of Listen and such. Freddie Ovett was there, and I was just chasing moves to try and not let a breakaway get 5 seconds, because, as I said, time gaps were still at 0 seconds. So I just didn't want to lose time, even if it meant not winning. But what happens next is pretty unexpected, and this started to set up a bit of a pink jersey hunt in the last K and a half. So you can see a couple of fellas go off the front here, and I'm like, oh, yep, I need to be part of this. So a few names that I'd seen attacking mid-race as well, and not really familiar with some of them. Don't know the validity of them, but I thought, yep, this could be dangerous. We'll try and jump across, get a bit of a draft, which we do here. So I've been towed across here by a Japanese rider. There's a Spanish guy up there. And then heading into the last K, the pack's still pretty close. You'd think that they'd catch up here. But I just settle in, thinking, yeah, okay, we've covered that, no dramas. And then one of the four come over the top with like a finishing sprint, and it just worked out perfect. No one in the pack at that time came across with that much speed. They all looked at each other a bit, and we managed to get away. So I think it's the Team Erdinger rider. There he goes. And obviously one of these guys tries to launch on. I'm still in the draft, as you can see, with the 140 watt savings. In a nice position. We're pretty cooked at this point, but feeling all right. We've opened up a big gap to the bunch, as you can see on the mini-map. All in to try and start to get in his draft. We get back in his draft, and then from here I can pretty much time it perfectly. Ease off, ease off, ease off, ease off, and then bang, launch at him with 200 to go, come through faster, and managed to grab an unexpected win here, which was a great way to get things moving on stage 3. So got to be happy with that one. On to stage 4 now, up in the mountains. So I put a bit of a break on one of our main rivals, Caleb Carl and the OMG guys, and Josh Wilson. He just sat back with them, and then watched this attack from Wilson on the side. 16 watts a kilo. This showed how much form he was in. Probably one of the scariest attacks of the tour to date. And so with 700 to go, and a 48-second gap on Wilson, given the time gap GC and Wilson still being obviously in that hunt, from there I just shut it down to try and get Wilson. It was a mix. Try and get Wilson back as close to me as possible while still putting some time into Caleb and the other guys in the race. So I ease off a little bit there. Wilson kind of goes all in for the last few minutes, and you'll probably see here down at 100 watts just rolling in. He's got the gap down to 27. He eventually gets that down to about 14. In hindsight, looking at the GC now, I could have waited for him, but at the time, you don't really know these things. So we get that down to 14. Caleb was about 45 seconds back. I was pretty happy with this one. Felt good. Launched about 6.5 watts a kilo for 5 or 6 minutes up there, and yeah, a good win. So heading into stage 5, and I think I'd just taken the pink jersey officially. We had Ben Pitt in here. He was covering moves so well in the last 2K. So you can see Ben in the blue jersey covering this attack. Managed to get me in a perfect position for the finishing sprint with no time lost. Ben covered many moves like that throughout the race, and it's part of the reason why having good teammates can be really handy in this situation. This sprint, I felt really good. It was slightly downhill, and I had perfect position. Even though there are some better sprinters, I never felt at risk in this sprint of losing any time. I'm still somewhat controlled here. It was only within the last 200 metres that I go all in. And then I'll probably just lose draft here, and the two better sprinters come by me there. So another third place. Less than a tenth of a second lost there. So we can't complain with that one bit. And then we move on to the time trial. So the time trial, 30 or 31k in London. It was a tough one. Wilson and I started 15 seconds apart, so we were pushing each other the whole way. This ramp, hardest part of the course, trying to get up here quick, but after 28 minutes at full gas, it's not easy. So the gap between Wilson and I was between 12 and 18 seconds the entire ride. We probably paced it perfectly, and were both really hurting in that final 10 kilometres. So we'll fast forward a bit to the finish here. And heading into the final few hundred metres, I averaged 5.6 watts, so 360-ish watts for 40 minutes, which is a PB. And as you can see there, the gap to Wilson's 15 seconds, so we're spot on. At this stage, I feel like Wilson deserves a stage win, so I would have been really pleased for him if he come over the top to grab that win. But he didn't quite get there. He comes through in 39.46. So he'll cross the line in a second, and you'll see that there was a 1 second gap. He averaged 5.7 watts a kilo, though. So, in fact, he's not quite as high level as me on Zwift. And so he actually didn't have the fastest time trial bike available to him. So, given that information, he was probably a faster rider on the day, just didn't have the tech. So that was the first week of the tour. Going back to the standings, after that week, it looked kind of similar to what it is now. The mountains have done a little bit of damage, but the time trial was global, so that's where we created most of our gap to Brett there. If you click on Brett, as you can see, he's had such a consistent series of racing. His gaps have been 0 seconds or 1 second in every race apart from the time trial. So we need to stay consistent in order to hold him off in this last week. Wilson's been really good as well. He lost those few seconds where I made the breakaway on stage 3, and then those 13 seconds in the hilltop just after that. But apart from that, it's been pretty much spot on. So that was the first week of the tour. You can see here, stage 1, third, first, third, and first. A really good week placings-wise. No PB numbers for any of the Zwift Power metrics there, although a PB heart rate for a whole race. The time trial, we averaged 173 for 40 minutes, which is pretty tough work. We then moved into week 2. So going back to our little map here, we had a Makuri Islands one, which looked pretty basic on paper. Sand and Sequoias. Stage 9 was supposed to be a London race, triple loops, but Zwift made it triple flat loops, which ended up a flat race. We then had the Queen stage, which went up the Epic KOM, the Radio Tower, and then the Alp. Then stage 11, which was Savage, included some Strava KOMs, up the Epic Reverse and Radio Tower. And then stage 12, which we've just finished, was 3 of the New York KOMs. So we'll get into stage 7. I was inefficient covering some moves, but again, didn't want to lose any time on the GC. With 900 to go, we waste quite a few matches trying to chase down this big move. It was a really world-class field here. So I lose a bit of draft here for a second. There's guys in much better positions than me with 700 to go with more energy. So this one was about limiting losses. I was tired in this kick. I was never featuring, and it was probably one of my worst placings for a while. Coming up the uphill drag, a few riders have went already. There's Listen making his move. Just sitting in the bunch here. Yamazaki, always good. I think Honda's there as well, the other Japanese rider, and Kamatora. So I'm just kind of dangling off the back of the bunch here in a good position, but never really in it for the win. So there's the bunch there. I think we lose about 0.9 of a second in this one, which was, I think the most I've lost so far, equal, but that's fine. A good result on a tough little drag to the finish, especially given I wasted a lot of energy compared to some of those guys. So job done there. We moved on to stage 8. The desert finish of Sand and Sequoias. The goal here was to follow a guy, I think this was Werner Works or something like that. dodgy as fuck. WW, there he is. So he followed him all the way out of the Sequoias. I got myself in a shit position here, way too far forward early, and watch Yamazaki just fly past. That's not where you want to be. Watch the speed. Boom, listen. Yamazaki, it's too late at this stage. I contest a pretty good sprint, but I was never going to get near those guys in that sprint. Wilson and I, side for side. Wilson grabs me in the sprint there. So, didn't come fourth. I think I was about 7th once it all updated, but job done. Lost 0.2 of a second. Tricky one to control with Werner Works, a dodgy fucker who reckons he can ride 7.5 watts for 5 minutes, and yeah, old fella, whatever. I saw him in the start list early though, so we contained him, and this is where the cheating has got really bad. And you know, we could call this series Chasing Cheats after this, because the last 4 or 5 days has been just a pain in the ass trying not to lose time to cheats. Constantly ruining races, not getting flags. Another desert finish here. We weren't supposed to finish in the desert this stage. Brian Duffy Jr.'s in the race, goes early. I'd spent the whole race trying to chase down this Meyer guy from Belgium, 6.2 watts, dodgy as fuck. Led the whole way. I followed everything as I have to. There he is. I can see his Belgian flag. I timed this sprint a lot better though. Yamazaki times it better as he always does, but I came from the back with speed. Yamazaki's flying here, but we come through pretty nicely and time it well for a 4th place, which, given how hard that stage was, definitely take that result. So, no time lost there. As I said, that stage was a real pain in the ass, chasing this Meyer guy around. I averaged 4.8 watts a kilo on a dead flat stage. I'll just flick to somewhere in the video, and I guarantee Meyer will be somewhere off the front. In a dirt jersey. Okay, I'm here. Just wait for Meyer to come past. It'll only be a matter of seconds. Oh, there's Niall. Real legit. Oh, well, Meyer might be hanging back at some stage here. But don't worry, he averaged 5.8 watts a kilo for the entire ride and constantly riding off the front. Really, for a race like this, where every second matters, you just can't let something like that go either, which is the hard thing. So in the pink jersey, it's up to us to defend it, and that's it's obviously not easy when you got cheats. Here comes Meyer. He'll just set a steady 6 watt tempo on the front for God knows how long. Dodgy as fuck. Hope I don't see him again this week. So this was a hard race for a flat stage. On to stage 10, the Queen stage. Some more cheats. A guy from Japan jumped in with stupid numbers. Another guy questionable, but whatever. This radio tower move set things up. Launched off the bottom, hit about 60k an hour, and the gaps just open up. So here's Ichan, so he can average 6 watts for a long time. No verification or anything. Luckily, I launched into the radio tower and just rolled past him quite easily there. But our mate FF86 starts to really send the pace up in a moment towards the top of the radio tower. This was a tricky move. FF86 here had us right on the limit. So this is after a reasonable epic com. We're doing around 7 watts or more up this radio tower here. Just trying to keep up with this FF86 fella. His numbers are on Zwift Power are always about this level. So, you know, I question his legitimacy because he's made no effort to prove himself or write how he's a significant athlete, blah, blah, blah. But his numbers are all human-like. You know, his power profile looks like that of a rider. So, you know, you treat him with some kind of respect, especially when he's putting this kind of effort in. And so we get up the top of the radio tower, me, FF, and Wilson. And then we're joined by the second group on the descent with Caleb and the OMG riders. And then it was a bit of a battle up the Alp. So heading up the Alp, as you can see here, we've got 4.9k to go. We only go about halfway up the Alp, which was nice. A steady tempo. There were harder parts and easier parts, to be honest. I lost my Discord connection, so Wilson couldn't hear me. So he might have, when he wanted to push, just held back a touch. Didn't mind that. You know, as long as FF didn't put time into us, that was the main objective, really. Itchen was there just off the back, still scaring me that he could just light up 10 watts at any time. Anyway, we kind of rolled together for a bit, got solid a couple of corners, but not too bad. Heading into the last kilometre, I thought Wilson hadn't won a stage yet. I really hoped he could win one. So I was hoping that he'd be able to outkick FF and that I'd keep a nice little gap there, not lose gap on GC. So as you'll see in a moment, I changed back to the pink jersey and to that rider view. We're in the last 200 metres. No one's really kicked yet, so I'm pretty happy with this. And then Wilson launches in a second. I think his rider has a drink, a bit random with 150 to go, and then bang, off he goes. A late kick, but a big kick. FF's there, so I tried to just make sure I held him off. Pretty good sprint. I think I lose a second, just under a second. So we take that. A great stage win for Wilson. Defended well. 5.6 watts a kilo for the last 20 minutes at the end of a tough stage. Now, I was concerned about this one. You know, backing up mountains is hard. Especially with you got guys like FF86 and then this Japanese fella who I felt like had cheat type numbers. So to get the job done there was awesome. Thanks, Greg Morgan, for the little message post-race. Appreciate that. We then move on to stage 11. Stage 11, as you can see, it starts straight up a mountain, 20 minutes. Felt like this would be a pretty good 20-minute test, to be honest. Then you go down the mountain and on the flat. It was going to be a test of who could get to the top and how many were together to determine what would happen the rest of the ride. Ooh. Rolling up the epic. As you can see, we've done the last 5 minutes at 6 watts a kilo. Not many of us left. Ben Ruth, who a bit of an ally for us, he messaged before the race and said he'd work together with us. He was just a few seconds up the road at this stage. Oh, no, actually, he was with us by this point. Just prior to this, there was a guy, K Moss, who had dropped 15 kilos overnight. Went from 65 kilos to 50 kilos. And then, so Wilson had his Zwift Power Live up, found out he'd lost 15 kilos and called him out in the chat, said, and then after that, K Moss disappeared. So absolute dirty move from you, K Moss, trying to get a leg up in races like this. We can still see your profile on Zwift Power Live, so I wouldn't be trying that kind of stuff again, K Moss. Hopefully I got your name right. Not relevant anyway. And then after that, we found out that there was another guy in his first ever race from the Netherlands, a 64-year-old male who weighs 86 kilograms, who's currently climbing at 6 watts a kilo. Icon was his name. He averaged 500 watts for 20 minutes. And as you can see in a minute, there he is on the front, old Icon. So my heart rate's pretty much maxing out here after a full-on 20-minute effort. And this 64-year-old fella in his first race is just tearing the race to shreds. You can see quality riders. Tatami, I think, is a 5.7 watt a kilo 20-minuter. He's a minute 20 down because of this cheat, Old Icon. Absolutely starting to ruin the tour by this point because we've got to chase him. If he puts a gap on us, then we lose time. That benefits guys in the other time slots, such as Brett Boniface and that kind of thing. So the three of us absolutely all in to try and get rid of this Old Icon fella. We just managed to hang on to him. And then on the descent, we somehow snuck away with a bit of craft. And then we start to work together and do some turns at some stage. So you can see Old Icons at 6 seconds there. And then the three of us start rolling some nice downhill turns, which makes it hard for Old Icon to come back on, which is nice. We get 20 seconds on him. Ben Ruth's a really strong descender, so we roll some team turns, and given the amount Ben helped us out, we roll in towards the finish here, and we let Benny take the win. I think well reserved. We'll just show the finish of that one. So Benny, 100 metres to go. Me and Wilson coming together within about 0.4. All's good. And then Wilson gets a Strava KOM for that effort. So fastest time ever, up the epic reverse radio tower and down the epic descent combination. So that's the kind of level that was needed to beat a 64-year-old male in his first ever Zwift race. So fuck off, Old Icon. Stop ruining a series like this. It really makes it frustrating, and I don't think I'm going to specifically target the GC at the chasing yellow, because it's just too much mental stress to have to be the person in charge of chasing these cheats. It's something that John and the organisation need to look at going forward, to be honest. Into the final stage. So just out of interest on that one, stage 11, there was a 5.8 watt 20 minuter. So if we go into the race here, you can see Ben, me and Wills all averaged the same, 4.9, with all 5.8 to 5.9 20 minuters in there. And filtered, because you broke the 20 minute limit of 500 watts, I think. No, close to anyway. Old Icon. Let's get him up just to shame him a bit on the video, because sick of it. There he goes. One race. Old Icon. Piss off. Into the last stage today, and another cheat rocked up. We thought today this could be something where we can just cruise around, a few New York KOMs, but no. Morris Vidrialez, whatever your name is. Watch this dude. Comes just about to sprint past us. His avatar was sprinting the whole race. His numbers were red the whole race. We had to constantly follow him. We flagged him. Nothing happened. Not enough riders flagged him. Just watch him. So we're in the lead pack over the last com. There's 8 of us. But then this dodgy cheat from Mexico just absolutely tears past us. And he was doing this the whole race. Averaging 400 watts in B grade. But still have to chase him, because if he gets bumped up, the time gap still counts. Here they come. And there he goes. Vidrialez. So obviously we're chasing him again. Get on his wheel. Anyway, that was the case the whole way. Just follow Viria, blah, blah. Finally, in the last 700 metres, I thought we had him under control. He eventually quits. And I thought, let's just try and time the finish. Gather myself. And I do time this quite well. There he goes, I think. I timed this one quite well. But I lost the draft of Brandt, the relentless rider. You'll see here, I'm in a winning position, possibly. And then my draft goes to 0. It's like I don't know if he has steering or what. But the guy in blue and white from Relentless, as I start to open it up here, I'll get right on his wheel. Perfect position with 250 to go. Right on his wheel. And then he veers right. No draft. And so obviously I'm a sitting duck now to Caleb. Caleb comes past with a better sprint. He's a better sprinter. And then he grabs the win. So tricky. I feel like if that draft didn't disappear or if you didn't steer away, but that's going to be a tricky one if steering's part of sprint finishes like that now. It could have just been a game glitch, but again, might have cost me a win. But again, to be within 0.05, there's no drama there. Wilson comes in 4th. So happy days. That's 12 stages complete. My time gap is 3 seconds. Wilson's will be 28 or 29. And Brett's will be 53 or 54. Having a look at the final 6 stages now. We head into London. Some Box Hill laps there with a hilltop finish. 3 laps. I'm going to be back in the nighttime slot with the Yakim Listens of the world, which is always a tough slot. Hopefully the cheats can stay away or be policed by a bigger time slot. That hilltop finish is going to be hard. I do like the course though. And then we're onto a flat one in France, which I'm really looking forward to. Should be easier to manage. We head into an interesting one, a jungle loop into an epic reverse. The jungle loop in that is very scary with the potential for bike swaps. We're going to have to manage things there. It's a tough stage, and then you've got a mountain afterwards. So, tricky one there. We then move to Surrey Hills, which is a savage course. Lots of time can be leaked if you have an off day there, so that's going to be critical to the GC. And then after Surrey Hills, we head to the time trial up the Innsbruck Conti Hill Climb course. Course I love, as I won the Continentals on it. A final time trial up there. I would love to have a great result. I would love to secure the pink jersey there so that I can ride through London 40k as a bit of a celebratory ride later in the week. But there's still a lot of riding to go. Who knows what could happen over the next 5 stages. And then obviously the 6th stage, given that anything or anyone could take this away with a flick of a switch. So that's a bit of a summary through the first 2 weeks so far. I'll put some chapters in the video so you can just flick through certain parts or watch certain finishes if you like. I'll put my numbers for the tour up there. A 20-minute powers. I haven't done any PB numbers, but it's been a hard tour and it's been a tricky tour, just managing the different goal of that pink jersey on the back. It's different to trying to win a race or being crafty and that kind of thing. The team standings looking good. We've got a 3-way battle between ourselves, OMG, and Relentless. Still anyone's game. Gatesy, who was a pivotal member of our teams, picked up COVID, so we're gonna lose a few points there. But as you can see, as of the last update, within 300 points. So I think any of the 3 teams, depending on the outcomes of the next 6 stages, could win that. But hopefully we can grab that one as well. That would be nice. Yeah, and I guess like all the normalised powers there have been, what's the lowest one? 304 maybe? Yeah, 304 normalised looks the lowest. And then we're all the way up to the time trial, which was obviously a tricky one. So again, thanks for tuning in to the video. If you're riding yourself, good luck in the last week of GC. If you've just jumped into one or more of the stages to provide some extra numbers, appreciate it, because the series is so good because the numbers are there. I love racing, even though they're not fighting for GC, I love racing the top fields and having to manage that in the same race. But it's just those cheats. They're ruining it, and it's something that needs to be fixed going forward. Otherwise, you're not going to have any significant ride I want to take on a GC competition when that can happen. So anyway, 1 week to go. Fingers crossed we can get the job done. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you.